For those of you who don't know, I regularly cover gaming news over on Twitch and various other places. And well, there's been a trend over the last 6 months for Quark's NFTs. Like, yep, Sega is also looking at NFTs. They're looking at crypto and NFTs. There's a lot of talk of like the Metaverse.
In that race for the Metaverse.
The race for the Metaverse from some week after Epic and LEGO announced their intent to build a space in the Metaverse.
And we call this the Metaverse.
Yep. Let's talk about NFTs, the Metaverse, and Web3. Specifically, let's talk about them in gaming and why they're more than likely inevitable. You're probably all sick of hearing about them by now, but they aren't slowing down anytime soon. But first, for those of you who don't know already, what is an NFT? What is Web3? What's a metaverse? To put it simply, non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, are just a unique code that are usually tied to a video or picture. These pieces of unique code are all part of collections with a limited amount of unique codes, which is why you've been seeing these monkey drawings everywhere. Of course, the holder of the NFT doesn't own the picture in most of these cases, they just own the piece of code. In fact, in quite a few of these cases, the creator of the collection doesn't even own the rights to the picture or video.
So I'm assuming you guys got like permission from everyone in the background, right, to sell their faces?
Absolutely not.
No. Right.
Regardless, the creator of the collection then decides the value of these codes. And once you purchase one of these codes or NFTs, you can then choose to hold it or sell it onto someone else for even more. Now you might be thinking, well, couldn't I just buy and sell an NFT back and forth with a friend to increase the value? And well, you could. It's something people already do. But the blockchain is very open and you can actually see all of these transactions if you go looking for them. The problem with that, however, is that it's not immediately obvious. You would have to know to look for this. All of this alongside the act of essentially being sold nothing but a unique code number is why 99% of these NFTs are nothing but scams. But we've just spoken about pictures and videos so far. What about gaming? How will NFTs affect the games we play? Well, this is where the narratives of the Metaverse and Web3 start to come into play. It's actually rather simple for the business people. Skins, in-game items, the premise of Web3 is that all of your purchases will be recorded on the blockchain. And well, that includes the skins you buy in Fortnite, or League of Legends, or whatever game you may play. You've been doing it for years now anyway, so how many of you will care if we just combine the two? In fact, what if all these games were under one big metaverse, and the skins or items you bought, these NFTs, could be shared across the different game worlds? That's the premise that a lot of these people are being sold on. Of course, we the actual consumers know that you couldn't just have Frostmourne in Call of Duty, and you can't just pull a P90 from COD and throw it into World of Warcraft. Games have very specific art styles, game balance, licensing, and run off entirely different coding and engines. As cool as it would be to have a Ready Player One or Free Guy experience and just pull out a portal gun in whatever game you want, it's not possible to integrate across a wide variety of genres and existing games. Besides, we already have metaverses, and we've had them for a long time. Second Life, IMVU, VR Chat, even MMOs like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV could be considered metaverses. This phrase is purely to push the narrative and sell the idea to these business people and people outside of the gaming space, because we already understand this. Of course, a lot of these game developers and game publishers understand this, but this idea of Web3 and the future of the internet is being relentlessly pushed right now. It was nothing but a discussion a year or 2 years ago, but then Facebook rebranded to Meta.
It's about gaming.
Then more and more companies started to take interest. We've had big companies like Ubisoft that have been pushing forward with NFTs. The Microsoft and Blizzard Activision acquisition had talk of the metaverse surrounding it. The Sony Bungie acquisition had mentions of the metaverse. Poor GameStop, unable to sell you as many used copies of games, have decided they want to focus on being a technology company and make more reliable revenue through the blockchain. The current goal of this consolidation for Xbox and Sony seems to be to bolster their respective subscription services, with Sony even recently announcing changes to their own subscription service. And the metaverse narrative really helps this along, because the idea is to have an even greater control over game sales, and this is something they've both been striving for a while. Remember the always-on Xbox One?
Fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message if you don't, if you don't like it?
If you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device.
If you wanted to play any game on that console, whether it was single player or multiplayer, you had to be connected to the internet. Of course, they had to walk this back, but it was a heavy-handed attempt to push for more control through DRM and prevent people from playing with used copies. The next step from there was to push digital sales and do their best to reduce the amount of physical sales. Of course, this is difficult to do right away, so what do? Well, first you need a really good selection of games, perhaps under a subscription service that you can conveniently play on whichever console you own. Bring a bunch of companies under your wing to bolster this subscription service. Then you just need to push multiple versions of your console. Perhaps turn your console into a series of consoles, much like the iPhone. But make sure the diskless version of your console is a bit cheaper. Then give it a bit of time and voila, you have a consumer base that is primed for only downloading games. And then with so many developers under you, you then have your Microsoft or Sony Metaverse. And slowly over time, you can start to integrate in your NFTs and build upon this idea of Web3. But how will NFTs be integrated into games? Because we can't just send items back and forth from different games. How can each of these NFTs have some impact on every game a company has under their umbrella? Well, what if I told you it had been done before? Remember Amiibos?
I'll get you, Mario. No way. I'm not gonna win.
These collectibles, for those that don't know, could be used on your Wii U, for those of you that actually bought one, or Switch, and you could use these on various games to redeem in-game items. In fact, to get Link's horse Epona in Breath of the Wild, you had to scan your Super Smash Bros. Edition Link Amiibo, which currently goes for about £85 on Amazon at the moment. So, some of these Amiibos could get you really cool limited edition items in games, and some would only give you some basic consumables. Honestly, a lot of the figures weren't great, they were kinda low quality, but because they were collectible, because of the scarcity of them, and the promise of rewards across many games, they could upsell people on them. Then scalpers would come in and raise the price even more. Now, with NFTs, they don't even need to make a physical collectible. All they'd have to do is make a skin, or include a pre-order bonus with the promise that you'd be able to use the NFT attached to it for exclusive rewards throughout the rest of the games in their catalogue. That's not to say this couldn't be done in a legitimately rewarding way. But this is EA, Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard we're talking about, Bobby Kotick himself. They aren't going to be using this technology to just reward players. Games like FIFA and NBA 2K with FIFA Ultimate Team and My Team are already digital card collection games. NFTs are just going to give them more ways to sell these systems to you. There have also been countless other smaller companies pushing for this as well. Kakao Games started working on NFT projects last November, and of course, more recently, announced ArcheWorld, a blockchain MMO based on ArcheAge that recognizes the user's ownership of various items, such as land, building, pets, vehicles, and gear, by minting them into NFTs. So you can finally take pay to win to a whole new level. Of course, every time a company pushes for NFTs, they've gotten massive backlash, with certain companies backing down and cancelling their NFT projects. It's the easiest win in the world right now for companies to come out and say they won't be doing NFTs. It'll get you all the Twitter likes at the moment. However, some companies aren't gonna crack. A Ubisoft exec straight up said gamers don't get it. And in one sense, we don't. As consumers, we just want fun, complete, and enjoyable games. But as a Ubisoft exec, you're looking for more opportunities to make money. And well, taking the PR hit right now doesn't matter when you're Ubisoft, because truthfully, the majority of people who play games just don't care. They just want to play their favorite game series, while all we've been hearing about on social media is NFTs and how they're bad. The majority of people still don't know what they are, and won't until they're fully integrated into games. And by that point, it'll just be the norm. We'll be used to it. It is what it is. But why do I think it's inevitable? Well, apart from the massive push from companies even outside the gaming space, it's happened before. Live service games, early access, loot boxes,
surprise mechanics,
microtransactions, DRM, DLC expansions. These are all things we've taken issue with in the past. Microtransactions in single-player games, I think we can all agree, are completely unnecessary. But back in 2013, EA pushed out Dead Space 3, where you could spend real money to buy crafting parts. And of course this got a lot of backlash, rightfully so. But fast forward a bit, and well, it started to become commonplace. Series that I love started adding these single-player microtransactions. Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Metal Gear Solid 5, Assassin's Creed, Middle-earth Shadow of War, Devil May Cry 5. These are all just the ones off the top of my head, and none of these games should require microtransactions. And here's the part where some people will come in and say, you don't need to buy the microtransactions. But if you ever feel the urge to ever purchase these microtransactions, wouldn't it be more fair to think they've designed these games in such a way that it's more convenient for you to pay for these microtransactions than to actually grind away in the game? Now, you might think we've gotten a little off topic here, but just replace microtransactions with NFTs. A few companies will push forward with NFTs, get some backlash, and then eventually companies will slowly start to put these NFTs in more and more subtle ways. And eventually it'll end up in something like Assassin's Creed. And if the game is good enough, fans of the series will say, well, you don't need to buy the NFTs. and eventually it'll just become commonplace. Now, I realize this is a pretty unoptimistic outlook, but the reality is those of you that care about the subject are very much in the minority, and those of you that care that are watching this video up to this point are an even smaller minority, and then those of us out of that group that would actually boycott our favourite games if they were good enough but just had NFTs in there is probably even smaller. As consumers, the most we can do is vote with our wallets. Boycotts truthfully aren't going to do much most of the time, but outside of making a video essay on YouTube or tweeting about how X company is bad for NFT, there isn't much else we can do. The only way we'll ever see any real effect is through legislation, and I have no doubt that governments will clamp down on NFTs in some form with the amount of attention they're getting right now. But whatever form of NFT survives is more than likely what we'll be getting in the future. Now, it's a rather cynical view, and hopefully time will prove me wrong, but that's why I believe we've already lost the war to the NFTs. In my mind, it's probably inevitable, and we'll just have to see what form they take. Anyway, that's it for this video, so thank you for watching, everyone. Do let me know what you thought. This is my first ever real video essay, so leave a comment, like, subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. Also, check out the Discord as well. I'm trying to be more social on there. I'm very bad at being social, and I'm trying to get back to responding and talking to people outside of just, you know, streaming on Twitch. So feel free to go check that out. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video.
I'll get you, Mario. No way. How am I gonna win? Ha! Ha! Oh. Hello, everyone.